Top 10 Best WWE Games of All Time. WWE is now the biggest wrestling company in the world. Since it virtually monopolized the wrestling industry, it also has a number of merchandises that get fans craving for more WWE action. Over different generations, Vince McMahon's company has been able to provide video games that lived up to the expectations of wrestling fans. So what are the best WWE games of all time? 10. WWF WrestleMania. Before WWE became the only household name in sports entertainment, WWE was still called WWF. Released in 1995 as an arcade game, WWF WrestleMania was a game enjoyed by many kids of the 90s. The company banked on the biggest brand's biggest show, WrestleMania. Unlike the modern games today, this game was inspired by Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam. What made WWF WrestleMania among the best WWE games is its digitized graphics and fast-paced gameplay. For a game especially during its time, it was something enjoyable. Unlike the latest games in the market today, the WWF WrestleMania is similar to a fighting game more than any wrestling game. For its roster, it had Razor Ramon, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Bret Hart, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels to name a few. Since it came in a time when Mortal Kombat was popular, WWF WrestleMania had crazy antics such as Doink the Clown pulling out a mallet from thin air. It made use of wacky components that are no longer seen in today's modern WWE games. 9. WWE Road to WrestleMania X8. WWE Road to WrestleMania X8 was made for Game Boy Advance and GameCube in 2002. It was one of those WWE video games used in order to hype WrestleMania. The problem with the Game Boy Advance version for this game is the limited gameplay due to the presence of only 2 buttons. WWE Road to WrestleMania X8 allows up to 4 players playing at once, which make it interesting especially for those Game Boy players during that time. It has 15 superstars included in its roster, including the likes of Rob Van Dam, Hulk Hogan, Chris Jericho, Triple H, Kevin Nash and the Dudleys. When the game was released, it had mixed reviews. Though it had a generally positive review, it wasn't really a classic game that you would want to play even today. 8. WWF Attitude. During the height of the Attitude Era, WWF could sell anything to kids and adults alike. One of their ventures is the WWF Attitude game released in the first PlayStation console and Nintendo 64. It was later released in Dreamcast and Game Boy Color as well. Made by Acclaim Sport, this was the sequel to WWF Warzone. Compared to Warzone, WWF Attitude had superior graphics. However, it was the last game published by Acclaim for WWE. WWE games after this WWF Attitude were made by THQ. Acclaim would then stick with ECW, which was then a competitor of WWF. It had a career mode which allowed players to play as their favorite wrestler. It also had new matches including First Blood and I Quit match, after The Rock and Mankind's infamous Royal Rumble I Quit match. WWF Attitude had its share of disappointments from the controls to how wrestlers move. However, it was entertaining, especially you have commentary provided by Jerry Lawler and Shane McMahon. It also had an expanded Create a Wrestler function which allowed users to choose from the looks to the entrance music and moveset of the player they are creating. 7. WWE Day of Reckoning. Released for Nintendo GameCube in 2004, WWE Day of Reckoning offered superb graphics during its time along with a decent story mode. It was lauded by GameSpot for these characteristics, especially with the past WWE games made for the gaming console. One of the things that make WWE Day of Reckoning stand out is its story mode, wherein you can even join either Triple H's Evolution in SmackDown or take Undertaker's side when you join Raw. Final battle for the game will be held on WrestleMania 20 for the championship in an Iron Man match. Because of the game's success, It had a sequel, WWE Day of Reckoning 2. 6. WWE Smackdown 2. WWE Smackdown 2, Know Your Role is a sequel to the first Smackdown made by THQ for WWE. With the success of the very first THQ game for the company, WWE decided to give it another run. Released in 2000, you get to use the likes of The Undertaker as a tough biker, Triple H, The Rock and Stone Cold to name a few. WWE Smackdown 2 featured improved season mode which provided different storylines for the superstars. But of course, there are flaws to this particular game. You have wrestlers walking down corridors and other insignificant scenes. You also have encounters with other superstars that are a bit unnecessary. What made this game even more interesting was that Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin were unlockable characters. It was also the first time that featured Create a Taunt on Create a Superstar mode. SmackDown 2 had a great score when it first came out, receiving 91/100ths from Metacritic. 5. WWF No Mercy. WWE video games during the early 2000s were at its peak, especially with the number of different consoles then. Released in Nintendo 64, WWF No Mercy was made by THQ as a follow-up for the WrestleMania 2000 game. There were some things that made WWF No Mercy somewhat lacking compared to other WWE video games. Gameplay now has a shorter entrance. It compensated with a more diverse option for its Create a Wrestler mode. With more moves, not to mention physical attributes, WWF No Mercy was considered a favorite among gamers then. There were also unlockable players such as Takamichi Aku and Funaki. 4. SmackDown vs. Raw, 2008. SmackDown vs. Raw was made for different consoles including Xbox, PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. What made this one of the great WWE video games is its inclusion of ECW superstars. Since the time WWE monopolized both WCW and ECW, it was the first time that ECW stars appeared in a WWE video game. A great feature of this game is the availability of different fighting styles to each wrestler. It gave pros and cons depending on who you face. Using the two available fighting styles, it allowed the player to be creative in playing the game. Another great feature of the SmackDown vs. Raw game is the availability of different weapons inside the ring. And lastly, there are several arena choices to choose from based from the events held in 2006 to 2007. 3. WWE 2K16. One of the most popular WWE video games ever released is the WWE 2K16. Released for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360 and Xbox One, this game is the third in the WWE 2K banner. A number of great features of this game include the use of Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 Terminator character. There are also legends available in this game including Dusty Rhodes, Lita, and Big Bossman. Among the things that made this game unique is the reversal feature of the game. It has a limited amount of reversals per game to prevent players from abusing the function. Another great feature of this game is that players have the option to attack opponents during entrances. 2. WWE Smackdown, Shut Your Mouth. WWE Smackdown, released in 2002, was considered a changer. It was the very first WWE video game to feature two different WWE brands, SmackDown and Raw. The game included the likes of Brock Lesnar, Dudley Boyz, Tajiri, Stacy Keibler, and Chris Benoit. It had a great review from its critics because of its smooth gameplay and great graphics. The development of the game included realistic facial features. It includes 58 different movesets when you opt to create your own superstar. It has also allowed you to use The Undertaker's motorcycle in some point. There are also a number of unlockable items when you play the season mode. This includes costumes. 1. WWE Smackdown, Here Comes the Pain. A sequel to the WWE Smackdown Shut Your Mouth, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain was released in 2003 during the peak of Brock Lesnar's participation with the company. For the first time, the game featured an elimination chamber and the bra and panties match. It was also the first time when the makers of the game developed character scales including strength, speed and endurance. You can also have the option to either let go of a submission or lock in the submission when the opponent holds the rope to break the count. WWE has been able to develop different games over the years. Using different game developers, gamers and WWE fans have seen the evolution of the WWE video games. Today, WWE has a number of superstars in their roster. There is no denying that WWE is the most dominant company in sports entertainment today. Now, if you wish to enjoy your favorite players, these are some of the top games that you can enjoy from WWE.